I'ma get to the bag, ayy. Got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast, ayy. Let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss, ayy.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your lives. All right, you guys, before we jump into the interview here, you know what we got to do. It is This Week in Freight, powered by my friends over at DAT. And again, all of the stuff that we break down on this segment, you guys, is 100% viewer submitted. All right. All of this is designed. I'm just trying to show you, help you guys out on how I personally read freight markets, how I've read freight markets in the past. And again, so you guys can take this out there to your customer. So we're going to be breaking down the reefer market today. And again, if you want your lane broken down on the show, email my team, podcast@thefreightcoach.com. I just need pickup city, delivery city, and trailer type. But let's break down the reefer market here. And it's hot, kind of like across the entire board right now. So we've broken down a bunch of these lanes here since we started doing this, you guys. And right now, in particular, I want you guys to focus in on Florida. So we all know what's going on in the state of Florida right now, on top of it being the kickoff of, produce season, flowers, and everything else going out there. And that's might have already kind of started to run its course. The state of Florida is heavy enforcement of ELP and everything, and non-domiciled CDL. So that is another contributing factor into that being a very tight market out there overall in the state of Florida. But, again, as we were talking about on the drive-in market, you guys, not all destinations are created equally here. So it's like, as we're going out there and really reading the market, so, I know it looks like everything is outside of Montana and Wyoming, everything is either neutral, moderately tight, or very tight out there. So again, you have to adjust your pricing accordingly. So I always like to look at the load to truck ratio as we're going on out there. And obviously, if there's 1,000 trucks for 10,000 loads, you guys know what that means, right? There's going to be exponentially higher pricing that comes along with it. But again, you need to pay attention now more than ever on, certain areas that these loads are going into, and tying that into the ELP enforcement and the non-domiciled enforcement that's happening. So, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on in South Texas and essentially follow that border. And that's where a lot of it is happening. And it's not like a lot of these drivers are, I'm not saying any of them are, not running legally, but they don't want to deal with it, right? They don't want to deal with being stopped at a scale and jumping through all of these hoops. So you need to deliver a lot of this information into your guys' customers as you're quoting this stuff out. And then especially right now, you got to follow that produce belt. All right. What do I mean by that? Everything, it's already starting in South Georgia and it's already into the Carolinas. And that normally is where the produce belt rolls up into, right? So it starts in Florida and it works its way up the coast. And a lot of those areas are already tight. So if you're in a spot market situation with your customer right now, you're in a very strong position, right? Truck in hand, this is what we need to move this load today. But if you're contracted, hopefully you have line haul plus fuel, because you do get that added relief to it, to your overall price when fuel is up as high as it is out there. So that kind of helps you weather some of those storms. But, understanding where the market is as a whole, and you need to be able to deliver that stuff to them, right? Because most shippers, they don't have all the information. This is why they hire transportation companies, right? This is why they hire brokers and carriers to come in and help manage their transportation, because you need to be able to explain to them certain markets, the seasonality of these things. And this is why it's so important to use one of these tools, all right? Like we use RateView all the time on the show, and we've used it in the past, but I wanted to take a different direction here so you guys can check out this heat map. And again, look at the inbound markets here. If that's flipping things for your guys' customers, sorry, I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit here. Again, inbound and outbound across the United States for refrigerated is very tight or moderately tight in the overwhelming majority of the country, as a lot of you are probably experiencing if you're out there moving refrigerated freight. Now, from some of my friends, I've heard that, there's been a stabilization out there in pricing, but again, that doesn't necessarily change anything with your customers and your current book of business. So it's like, I look at these heat maps and I want you guys to go out there and actually understand what some of this means and deliver this information to your customers. All right. Like I mentioned, not all 500 miles are created equally out there. All right. Not all 1,000-mile lanes are created equally. And you need to let them know that, hey, at the end of the day, if this is going from a tight market into a soft market, that is going to be an exponential price increase, as opposed to, like if it's a loose market to a loose market, you might see some pricing relief out there. But overall, you got to pay attention to this stuff and get a little bit more substance behind that rate per mile that you're throwing out there to your customers. So again, this is how I read that market going on in the refrigerated sector. Again, pay attention to that, you guys, because inbound and outbound is tight. It's tight and moderately tight out there across the board, as you guys can see. Again, if you want your lane broken down, or if you want any more information, email my team, podcast@thefreightcoach.com. We'll feature it on the show. I just need shipping city, delivery city, trailer type, and that is it. I got a couple of very special guests for you guys here today. I believe in the fundamentals of this industry. I believe that it doesn't matter what's going on in the freight market, up market, down market, tight market, shipper, broker, carrier market. It doesn't matter. Like, there are some tangible things that happen day in and day out in those best practices. And there's a right way and a wrong way to operate. And it's not very often you get to talk to people who've been doing this job for 20 plus years and talk about all of those things. So with that being said, I have Kathy and Amanda on the show today. You guys, thank you guys so much for taking the time to join me.
Hi.
Hello.
We're the Cargo Girls.
Yes, you guys are the Cargo Girls. I was going to lead into that because I love the name of your company out there. And I, for me, it took me a long time to come up with the importance of branding out there. And when you get that name and it sticks, like, to me, Cargo Girls is unique, and I like that, and it's got to be easy to remember.
Yeah, she's been under Cargo Girls for a long time. She's been running under that name, and people like it. It is catchy.
So, Kathy, I got to ask, you've been doing this. So Amanda and I were talking before we started recording here. We both graduated high school the same year. We're not going to say any of that stuff out there because I think we've kind of passed that threshold now. But you started brokering freight when we were in 8th grade. So what brought you into freight at that time?
I had been a dispatcher since 84 or 85. So since I was in my 20s. And of course, it was in a different capacity. And I moved eventually into a dispatcher in the freight industry. And in the beginning, we didn't have all the technology that you guys have now. Mm-hmm. It was, we had relationships. Mm-hmm. And to find trucks, I utilized everything I could, my Rolodex, the phone book. I would pull up if I needed a truck in Alabama, literally the yellow pages for Birmingham looking for trucks. And I ran across people that I began to do business with. And of course, even then I was thinking about the technology side of the industry and developing something that would make the job of the dispatcher easy. Well, along came truck stop, internet truck stop, and then DAT, and helped us along. They were real expensive then. They still are to me, but they have brought us a long way, and they focus on the carrier. Mm-hmm. So we will talk about what we focus on later, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's all good. I was going to say, the way that you started brokering or making outbound calls to trucking companies to formulate those relationships, that's how I was trained to do this job. And I think that's just kind of been lost out there. And again, I'm not here to, tell anybody what to do or what not to do inside of their business. I just always try and lead by example. And we couldn't even touch a load board when I first started as anything other than a way to make outbound calls to build up relationships with carriers, to find out what lanes they want to run. Are they even interested in something like that? And then find out that why. Hey, why are you in Phoenix, Arizona? Did you just take a load out there just because you were making a bunch of money and you need to get back? Find that out, and then you can build that closed capacity loop that's out there. And I think with what's been going on these last couple of weeks in the overall market is shocking a lot of people who've never seen a tight market before. But the fact of the matter is if you cultivate that carrier base that you're describing there, Kathy, a lot of the headaches that people find themselves in start to go away. Because to me, it's like, I got to make money. I'm a capitalist. I think everybody in this industry wants to make money and do all of that as well. But like, I need trucks to show up 12 months out of the year. And I think like there's a fleeting thought by some in the brokerage community that they can somehow make money without trucks. I have yet to find the ability to do that.
Yeah. No, I'm a capitalist as well. I'm a capitalist for anyway. I don't understand how people I'm the one, I got to pick up the phone. I got to make that phone call.
Yep.
I want to hear someone on the other end. So my gut can tell me, is this good, bad, or ugly?
Yes.
You can't through email, you can't pick up on you can't utilize all your senses, and you need all your senses when you're doing trucking.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And, Amanda, so with you coming in and kind of seeing that, you had a career outside of freight first, and, you came in, and what were some of those like surprising things about the industry that you learned right away where you're like, why is this done this way?
Well, I don't really think it was much of a surprise to me because she is my mom, and I did grow up listening to it and seeing her troubles. I think one of the biggest things, I would have to say one of the most shocking things for me was the theft in the industry. I remember because I did briefly work with her in 2007. I was young. I was having my first baby. And it just wasn't as hostile. It seemed like it went from being, easy and a little bit more trusting. I hate to say it, but it wasn't anything like we were experiencing when I came back a couple years ago. The theft and the fraudulent activity was probably the most shocking thing for me. Unbelievable, the things that they were getting away with, which again, we'll get into our Truck Optics app.
Our remedy for it. And what we have done to stop this.
Yes.
Because it really has gotten bad in the past year. So
past 4 years, I feel like. I mean, it was bad when I started, which was about 4 years ago. It tripled,
increased,
significantly, and now it's getting a lot less. I think with the changes that's being made, from the government and stuff. But I do. That was the most shocking to me. It was unbelievable.
I look at a lot of, I kind of joke around and I'm like, double brokering's always been a thing. But like back when I first started in the industry, they were at least paying the carriers still, right? Like they were just taking a couple $100 off the top, right, and they were still paying it. And then it obviously got a lot worse. And I'm not blaming technology for it, but I think technology opened up a window that wasn't there in the past, right? Like, Kathy, you were describing that intuition of, I got to pick up the phone and talk to these individuals we're booking. I'm right there with you. Because I mention this on the show often. I can tell in about 5 seconds if the person that I'm talking to on the other end is full of it or not.
Yes.
Yeah. I think people get away from it. And I would love, I don't have the data, and I've asked some of my friends who are on the freight theft side of things, carrier identity and stuff like that. I would love to see the data behind loads that are booked strictly through email and theft, and see what percentage of those loads are stolen, and if that is the main driver of it. Because I feel like when you remove the human element from like an open carrier source of like, you're just letting anyone and everyone, you're not talking to them on the phone, you're just checking their MC, they're set up, tender it over. I'd love to see the data behind that, because I would argue the overwhelming majority, that's probably how they're getting their in. And I think, like, that's those basics that I'm talking about, like those things that never change, that's how you can kind of thwart it, right? Because it's like, at the end of the day, the only real tried and true method to minimize freight theft is by using that trusted carrier network, using those same drivers time and time again, and not going out to the load boards. The load boards are a great tool. They're a great resource. I'm not anti-load boards at all, but I think if your entire business plan is find the cheapest truck humanly possible and then find another cheaper truck the next time, I think your exposure to a lot of the nefarious activities that go on out there is exponentially higher.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. I think that if people continually work that way, one off of email, I would never do that. We do use Truck Stop to post some of our loads, and Truck Stop's the worst about it. They'll email in, "Hey, I see you got this load posted. Give me the details." Well, the details are in the shipment. If you want it, call me.
No, that's what I usually say. Call me. Call me. And they don't always call. I'm going, how do you cover your truck? How do you cover your load if you're not picking up the phone? I can't, it's not the way we do business. We need to talk about it. And how does the shipment go off well?
Yeah.
Even if they're legit, how does it go off well?
See, here's what I found. The very legitimate trucking companies out there, they will call you, like, no matter what. They will pick up the phone. They will call you. They don't want to hide behind anything, because I've just found that the right trucking companies, their businesses are so dialed in, like, they're vetting you as much as you're vetting them in the moment. Right? Like, you actually have this load. What are the actual pickup hours? Is this an appointment? Because, like, we do open deck, right? So we specialize in flat, step, Conestogas and stuff like that. Those guys are another caliber, and they are in there like, what is going on with this? We got to get our truck offloaded. And I just found that, and this is why it's like, for me with tech inside of my company, like, I think 95% of my day can be automated as a broker, and it should be automated as a broker, but there's 5% that never will be. And it's that interaction that you're describing right there. My people need to talk to the driver. We need to talk to the dispatcher, just like I need to talk to my shippers, my receivers, my customers. I don't want to automate that at all. And I think that is where the opportunity is really going to continue to show itself in regards to freight theft and everything else. And, it's like with you guys in let's talk about truck optics here, because with what you guys are building up, like, only vetting, checking an MC and an active authority and active insurance is one thing, but who's actually showing up to pick up the freight? So what was the main driving force behind starting this?
Trial and error. Laying in the floor crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sleepless nights.
Yeah.
I can go on and on about the things that have happened, that happens to all brokers. If you're a good broker and you hang in there, you're going to experience some of the trials and tribulations of freight, and that's what led us to this. We wanted to see the truck driver more, and the truck drivers, and you can think, just go a year last year, truck drivers were wanting to be visible less and less. It was getting where they would not give you their phone number. They wouldn't answer the phone. You didn't know if that driver was in your truck, unless you were tracking them. So Truck Optics tracks as well. It's specific to the driver.
Yeah,
we are featuring the driver with this app. So not the carrier. The drivers change from carrier to carrier. We're going to stay with the driver for the life of his career. So that's the plan.
Okay. So is this something, so, like, I think when you say that, I think of like the clearinghouse at the DOT, right? Like, it shows the driver's record in regards to drug and alcohol violations and other things. And I know your guys takes it, a different direction than that, but like, it's an overall database of the drivers. So like, what is the benefit of a driver signing up for something like this? How does this guarantee better freight or more consistent business or anything like that?
Can I take this one?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to backpedal just a little bit. So the app itself, again, is once the carrier has been vetted. So you've identified that you can work with this carrier. You know who this carrier is. You're willing to do the load with them. That's great. So if with Truck Optics, the next step, it's another security measure that any shipper, broker, anything could put in place. The next step would be, okay, once your driver registers their account with Truck Optics, we'll then get you over the Raycon, that kind of thing. So you've already vetted the carrier, you're good there. Now we want to focus on the driver. So the benefit for the driver would be that any user of the Truck Optics system has been vetted, human vetted. So we will be running credit checks, doing FMCSA checks, carrier 411, all of that to make sure that only legitimate shippers, brokers, warehousing companies, that kind of thing, are allowed to access and purchase the app itself and run under the platform as an admin. So with that, that having that human touch on it will keep the bad actors out of it. Mm-hmm. As far as, you don't really know. I know that we just recently, about a year and a couple of months ago, branched out and did our own brokerage. And I had to sell my soul at first to get shipments covered. Yeah. Even though we're a legit brokerage, we pay our carriers. We're 24/7 operation. I literally felt like I was selling my soul there for a while. Yeah. And I get it. I understand it. But with that being said, we're going to make sure that the other person on the end of that application is a legitimate, well-paid. They pay their bills. They're not a fraudulent company, are utilizing the system. So once they get their account registered, they can only upload live pictures. So I don't know if you've experienced this or not, but we've had a lot of carriers that have like Gmails, Yahoos. They have actually had their emails hacked. Mm-hmm. And then these fraudulent guys are trying to book loads under their DOT, their MC number. I had it happen 2 weeks ago. And the owner operator called me and said, don't book the load with him. Mm-hmm. And so with Truck Optics, they have secure access to their stuff. They do live pictures of their driver's license, truck, trailer, tag. They put in their company information. All pictures must be live. You can't put stock photos in there. You can't do all of the things that they're trying to get away with these days to show proof of who they are. And then all of that is stored on a secure database. We use Amazon for our website servers. So it's a secure server where it's all safe and secure. And then they get to have access to loads. There's a where you can post loads to them if they're within within like 100-mile location of an available load in the system. You can push notifications out to them. Easier way to get freight from trusted, approved shippers and receivers, and it's just another way to make sure that there aren't people hacking into their stuff, that they are who they say they are. And I mean, as far as the driver goes, in my mind, I would think that they would want to make sure that they, hey, I am a legitimate carrier. Here's my info. Truck Optics allows that. It's a one-stop shop for all of their stuff. It can hold their paperwork, load history, all that good stuff. I could keep going, but I'll stop.
Sure.
Listen, the main thing to me is the tracking that it provides. It will provide the tracking of the shipment. And if there's any fraudulent activity going on with the tracking, there are alerts that are issued.
Does it integrate in with their ELDs then? What is the tracking platform that you guys have built it off of?
As of right now, no. It is based off of the driver's cell phone.
Gotcha.
I don't necessarily, I have hard feelings about the ELD systems and how and them legitimately working. Now I only had my macro point to reference, which isn't the best, but I don't feel like they work as well.
Yeah.
So it is based off of the driver's cell phone.
Okay. So how are you guys preventing duplicate driver entries, right? Because it's like, if you look at, and I'm just tying this in with a lot of what you see about fraudulent issuances of CDLs out there. How do you stop driver A from having a CDL in Florida, as well as Ohio, and as well as Illinois, and they go in there and try and upload that multiple times? Is that flagged names, facial recognition, any of that flagged to stop that from happening?
Well, I mean, every account has to have the two-factor authentication. So they either sign in with Google, Apple. If they sign in with a non-Google or Apple profile, it is two-factor authentication. Now, it is on the admin in the system to look at it and say, okay, well, this profile matches this profile. The only thing that I can think of is that they have to take a live photo of their IDs in their truck and trailer. Now, could they use separate emails? Could they do this? Could they do that? Yes, they could. But we are hoping that with the admins being responsible for looking at us, for us looking at these and approving these red flags, that, we'll be able to catch it. I'm not relying on some back algorithm to catch things like that. It is going to be us looking at it and improving it and checking it to make sure there's no fraudulent activity. Is it 100% perfect? No. Is there anything else like that out there in the industry? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I was just curious, because it's like, I look at with where a lot of things are out there in regards to, just like the fraudulent issuances of CDLs and making it harder, because I look at it where I love what the DOT and the FMCSA are currently doing. Like, I love the fact that they're dropping the hammer on this stuff. Like, this is like legitimately the most attention I've ever seen put on this. And I think it's
right. I wondered why they hadn't before now.
Money. Yeah, we'll talk about that off air. But I look at it as you guys are building something, because I personally think the faster, and we could argue how wrong this is in the eyes of a driver till we're blue in the face, but I look at with where things currently are, your ability to prove that you are who you say you are is the way that it is right now, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, again, I understand why people don't want to do all of this, but I also look at it where, how are you going to stay competitive and stay in business and show that you're not one of these bad actors? And that's got to be the mentality right now. Unfortunately, fortunately, but this is just where we are. And with identity, carrier identity and business identity, and I think you guys have a market for brokers doing this as well, having brokers sign up for this to show that they are legitimate. Absolutely. And they should be operating out there, because I think there is just as big of an issue on the fraudulent brokerages that are out there. And anybody who's not willing to do something like this, again, we could argue until we're blue in the face about how this is an overstep, but this is where we are, and you need to prove that you are not that, because otherwise, who's going to work with you at that point?
It's the transparency that is needed in the industry. And that's where, the more transparent you are, owner operators love it. They don't mind signing up. They're the easiest ones to sign up for this, because they understand the business better than anybody.
Yeah.
Look, in my mind, if you don't want to fill this out, right? I had somebody ask me, is it secure? Can you guarantee that it's secure? Well, no, I can't, because systems get hacked. The banks get hacked. I mean, I think at one point, wasn't like the Social Security office was hacked at some point or something like that. So I mean, I can't guarantee it, but have we paid for a secure system to hold your driver's license? We're not asking for your Social Security number. We're not asking for your blood type, but I mean, it is a secure profile. If you don't want to do this, if you don't want to sign up for it, then you're hiding something, and I don't want you on my freight.
Yeah.
Period. I'm not willing to lose my money that supports our family because you are being stubborn about something. So I'll move on.
Well, I know, but we also give them the option to either show their license or not. They can go ahead and put it in the system. Am I right, Amanda?
No, they have to upload their driver's license.
I know, but they can hide it, can they not? Or do they?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay. I thought they could hide it. Sorry about that.
No, we took that option away when we had.
My bad.
No, we don't have that option anymore, but we did at one point, but we don't anymore.
Okay.
That, we are, even if, like we're at a point in a unique time in history where artificial intelligence is today, I think a lot of people have a hard time comprehending about what it could become in a not so distant future. And I think we're like you just look at multi-factor authentication. I mean, that's been a thing on most financial institutions' websites for last 3 to 5 years, I would say, at minimum. And we are at a time where it's like you do need to be able to prove who you are to be able to access business. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the shipper community, with where freight theft is, with the car, like it's in the billions. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's in the billions of how much cargo is stolen on any given year.
Yes.
It's going to get to a point where if you're going to want to move freight, you're going to have to prove who you are, because otherwise their insurance, I could see this happening. Their insurance isn't going to approve you as a vendor. Your insurance isn't going to be able to approve them as a customer, because they're known, that shipper's known for having a high probability of theft out of that facility, right?
And the app is for shippers. It's big airports. Yeah. Airports don't know who's coming in or going, who's taking their furniture. I mean, their freight. Also, you see where my mind is. Freight all kinds, baby. But also your power plants, your pharmaceuticals. You don't know. The truck has been an unknown. The truck driver has up until now been an unknown most of the time. Now it's coming out that we need this.
Yeah. So just to explain to you, so when I came in, I sat around for about a month, maybe a month and a half, and I listened to the day-to-day, relearned things, took notes, and I said, okay, Mom, I see what you're doing. I see where you're going with it. This is what I think this is what I think we need to do. We went over everything. We've talked through it, and over the process of 3 years now, Mom, right? 3.5 years.
Yeah.
4. We have tailored the app. We have made changes. We have said, okay, we just had this happen to us. How can we stop this from happening again with the app? So we have literally taken our experience through the hostile freight that we have, I call it a hostile freight environment. The issues that we have come across, and the thefts that we've had to unfortunately deal with. And it is now, I don't really think there's anything different that we could do with it to help this industry with what is going on right now. Mm-hmm. I really,
as it happens, we address it. An app is forever evolving.
Yeah, it's easily moldable as things progress and things change out there. But no, I love the angle that you guys are taking with this for the driver community in particular, because I look at it as they're more often than not, they're the real victims of this as well, because
exactly
they're not getting paid, right? Like the double brokers are pocketing money. Then they go to this, and then it's like if they call the shipper, I don't know. I look at it as, and furthermore, what if that is like the last load? Like that's just the straw that breaks the camel's back for them, right? They're like, I can't fight this. I can't afford to fight this. Mm-hmm. and then they just close their business. I look at it where I hope that in the not so distant future that the right providers, the legal providers, the ethical providers, there's some way to show this is who they all are. So it's like, and I also look at it from like a standards perspective and then a barriers to entry perspective out there. I would love to see a lot of that raised up because I feel like the right providers are always going to find a way to show up. And because I mean, a lot of this stuff, they're looking for the easiest way in. You know, they're looking for the path of least resistance to theft. And I'm like, how do we do this to reward the right people? I don't know if it's in the form of like a tax break, like, hey, do this and this, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get a lower tax. I don't know what the answer is, but like, I do know that we cannot let these fraudulent actors put good people out of business anymore. Like we have to take a stand from that perspective. And I think you guys are doing that with what you guys have built at Truck Optics.
I did it out of love for truck drivers. I've always loved truck drivers. I had an uncle, my grandfather was a truck driver. So it stems from that. And
we wouldn't be able to do our jobs.
They're my biggest customer. The truck driver is my biggest customer.
Yeah.
So
I
love them. I love them more than they love me. Let's put it that way.
I wish more brokers had that mentality. And I try and get to that point. If there's one thing of all the content that I release that people have the biggest problem with is when I say that carriers and customers are 1A and 1B of importance to my operation because they are completely synergistic. And I don't care that I pay the carrier. I want to set them up for success because that's a direct representation of me and my company.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And it's like, I've also never had a hostile situation on the phone ever end well and in my favor by treating them like garbage. Like I've just found that I got to hold myself to a higher standard, even if it's being not reciprocated my way. I got to hold myself to a higher standard out there because I want to attract the right carrier base into my network. And then again, customers love seeing the same truck showing up time and time again to pick up their freight.
Yeah, they do. They do. We've had them where they would give them things.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They like the drivers and they give them gift cards or.
Yeah. I had one call me. He was like, "You'll never guess what they did. They bought me lunch." I was like, "Wow, that's impressive."
I know.
I love at the airport. It was unheard of.
I love to tell a driver, "You made me look good."
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. You made me look good. I'm grateful.
Exactly. That is what, I just find that in my experience, the driver community is just wanting one thing. They want respect. That's it. Like none of them need a parade or anything like that. They want to be shown the respect that they deserve for doing a good job. And, again, that's the beauty of the free market, right? If you're not doing a good job, you'll eventually work your way out of it. But if you are doing a good job, there needs to be some guardrails in place with where we are to protect the integrity of the right carriers. And you guys have built that. I truly feel that with Truck Optics.
That's a good way to describe it. It is a guardrail. It really is. And I hope I hope that the drivers realize that we built it for them. Yes. Just take the few minutes, get set up. It'll be worth it. Once they're, Amanda, am I correct? Once they're set up, they're set up. They don't, they have to go back. That's, So when you say live pictures, it's not something they have to do every time, unless, of course, they change trucks, they change the carrier that they're with, their license is updated, their credentials are updated.
Not to interrupt you, but one of the best things about that is, right? So if this carrier has a profile, let's just say the driver has a profile in Truck Optics and they go from one carrier company to another. Unfortunately, sometimes that happens. That carrier company may not have the best reviews, whatever. We still use them, whatever. That driver who has ran 15 shipments through Truck Optics, any company, any admin user of the Truck Optics side of it, the website side, that has rated that driver, has given every single shipment he has 5 stars. That will carry with him over to the new carrier company. So regardless of whether he's moved to a carrier company that's not that great, he still has his 15 5-star reviews in the Truck Optics app. And to me, I want him on my load, regardless of, any other Tom, Dick, or Harry that works for that carrier company. I know for a fact that he's done 15 loads and every user has given him 5 stars. That's who I want on my freight. So that's the good thing about it too. Their profile follows them regardless of what company they're at.
Yeah. Kathy, were you going to say something there?
Oh, no,
No, it's all good.
No, surprisingly, no.
It's all good.
It is important though to thank the drivers, to let them know when they do a good job, because they're not treated well on the dock. I think I realized that early on, that the drivers were not treated with respect. They were treated so bad.
Yeah,
but
I feel you. It's one of those things though that I think is the more we talk about it, hopefully the more it gets fixed out there, because that's it, right? Like we can talk all day, but we need actual tangible things fixed out there. And I think
education.
Exactly. Kathy, Amanda, thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you too.
I'm sorry?
Good luck with your podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We got over 1,400 episodes, Kathy. So I think we're on the right trajectory.
You can do this in your sleep.
Pretty close at this point. How does anybody reach out to you guys though to find out more about what you guys got going on?
Call her.
Yeah. All of our information, we are currently going through a website rebranding, but they can call us. All of our information is on the Cargo Girls website. It's all on the Truck Optics website. So, in the Truck Optics, as of right now, the Truck Optics app is really going to be released, fully ready to go on April 20th.
Perfect. Well, that sounds great. Kathy, Amanda, thank you guys so much. That is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you guys got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank it on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang.